திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். பூழியர்கோன் வெப்பொழித்த புகழியர்கோன் கடல் போற்றி. ஆழிமிசை கல் மிதப்பில் அணைந்த பிரான் அடி போற்றி. வாழி திரு நாவலூர் வன்றொண்டர் பதம் போற்றி. ஊழிமலி திருவாத ஊரர் திருத்தாள் போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today we will be discussing Thiruvambavai, which is a section in Thiruvācakam. And this, before we go into the Thiruvambavai, I will briefly describe the life history of mANikka vāsagar, who sang Thiruvācakam, and then we will go into Thiruvambavai. So, mANikka vāsagar is listed as the fourth acharya of the four Saiva acharyas. The verse that I recite at the beginning of the sessions, that lists salutation to each of the four acharyas, and in that last one is mANikka vāsagar. Uzhimali Thiruvāthavūrar Thirutthāl Potri. That means Thiruvāthavūr is the town from which he hailed, and Thiruvāthavūrar is the saint from that place. That's how that salutation verse addresses him. So traditionally, the acharyas are listed as Sambandar, Thirunavukarasar, Sundarar, and mANikka vācakar. It doesn't mean that they are chronologically they came in that order. We know that of the three acharyas, Sambandar, Thirunavukarasar, and Sundarar, among them we know that Thirunavukarasar was the oldest, and Sambandar was in his lifetime, he was also there, he was same time period, but Sambandar was born many decades after Thirunavukarasar was born. So, even though they are of the same period, and Thirunavukarasar is older, and in fact, Thirunavukarasar started singing Thevaram songs before Sambandar was born. But in the order sequence, we list Sambandar as the first, then we list Thirunavukarasar, then Sundarar, and mANikka vācakar. And the mANikka vācakar's time period is subject to debate, because there is no clear evidence. So some people have concluded that mANikka vācakar time was before the other three, and some have concluded that mANikka vācakar's period was after the first three. So regardless of that, time period is subject to debate, but doesn't change anything that we are going to see in Thiruvācakam or in his life story. So mANikka vācakar was born in a village called Thiruvāthavūr, which is about, let's say, 10 kilometers from Madurai. So he was born in a Brahmin family. It is traditionally described as Amatya family. Means that, as you know, Amatya is a Sanskritam word which refers to ministers. So he was a very bright kid, and he excelled in education. So he learned all the Veda Sastras in his young age, and he had mastered them. And learning about his greatness, the Pandya king made him his minister when he was about 16 or so. So Thiruvāthavūrar, as we know, because we don't know his real name. That is the thing with most of the saints of the olden times. Very rarely we come to know about their names that their parents gave them when they were born. They are always known by some other title or some other name that they got. So we don't know the real name that his parents gave him when he was born. So we simply refer to him as the saint from Thiruvāthavūr. And he was Pandya king's minister, and we presume that he had been the minister for a number of years. And at the same time, he was also spiritually inclined. So as we go through life, our spiritual evolution takes place and we develop more and more spiritually. So he had reached a certain level of spiritual development. At that time, the king's commander, right? He came and tells the king, "O king, our cavalry is weak. Our horses are weak. Number of horses have died, and we have other horses have become weak due to old age and disease. So we need to strengthen our forces. So we need to get replenishment of horses for our forces." So king turns to mANikka vācakar and tells him to take a lot of money from the treasury and go buy horses for our forces. So Thirumurai takes the necessary amount of gold and then sets out to the port town on the southeastern coast of India. Pandya kingdom, the sea is on the eastern side, and in those days, horse trade was a major trade that used to come from Arabia. So Arabia, the horses will come by ship and they will sell them in the port town. So he sets on a journey to go to the coastal town to buy horses. And as he was going with this entourage, he comes across a place called Thirumurai. And in Thirumurai, there is a temple, and he came across a guru who was seated under a tree. The tree is known as Kurunda Maram. It's I was looking up the web as to what that Kurunda Maram means in English, because many of these native trees and plants, most of us are not familiar, because unless we go and see it and somebody describes what the name is, we won't know. So I was looking at it, and they typically say that it's some kind of a wild lime tree. So he saw some guru was sitting under a Kurunda tree, and there were a number of disciples seated around him, and he was explaining Vedas and other tattvams, etc. So mANikka vācakar, he gets attracted to this guru, and so he goes and listens to what he is describing, and then he is so much excited about the things that he is describing, and he gets so absorbed in those teachings, he forgets what he came for. He became a disciple, he became a shishya of that guru, and that guru takes him as a shishya and teaches various things. And in this process, the vāsagar forgets the mission on which he was on, right? He had come to buy horses for king's forces, army, and forgetting that, he was totally immersed in the spiritual things that was going on in this place. And the money that he had brought to buy the horses, he spends on other things. Maybe he was spending it for building a small temple, or maybe he spent it for feeding the devotees, whatever. The money got spent. And time is going on. And the king was waiting that vāsagar will come back with horses, and nothing was going on. So he sent his scouts, and they come and find out that vāsagar is sitting in this Thirumurai place with some saint, and they are all discussing Vedanta and not doing the horse stuff. So they go back and inform the king, and the king gets upset and angry that Thiruvadavurar is doing this. So he sends several of his men with a command asking Vadavurar to come back to the Madurai and tell him when the horses are coming. So these men come to Thiruperindurai and meet Vadavurar and tell him king's command. So Vadavurar then immediately realizes the problem he is in, right? He took king's money to buy horses, but he has spent the money and he has totally forgotten the mission that he was on. So he goes to his guru and says, Guru, this is the situation, what should I do now? So the guru says, send the reply saying that horses will come on in the month of Avani on the Mula Nakshatram day. Horses will come. You tell the reply and you can go back to Madurai. So mANikka vācakar simply tells the king's men that in the month of Avani on Mula Nakshatram day horses will come, and the men go back, and mANikka vācakar also takes leave from the guru and returns to Madurai. So the appointed, the month comes, the day comes, but no horses. So king gets very wild. He knows that, he has already heard that mANikka vācakar had spent all the money and he was wasting his time in Thiruperindurai without buying horses. Now that day has come and horses have not come, so he decides to punish mANikka vācakar. So mANikka vācakar is punished by the king. In those days, the punishment could be imprisonment, it could be some kind of a corporal punishment, whether it is beating with a cane or whether it is standing in the hot sun with other things, whatever. So he was being punished. And while this was going on, after a couple of days, suddenly the scouts come back and tell him that, "O king, we see a large group of horses coming to Madurai." So king gets surprised but happy. So next day he goes out. There's maybe thousands of horses have assembled there outside Madurai. And the leader of the traders, he comes forward. He comes on a horse and tells the king that, these are the horses that your minister had bought for you. And he tells him to, inspect all of these horses, make sure that these are good and you have no problems. Because once you take charge of them, I have no more responsibility for the horses. So the king and his men inspect the horses. They are all happy. They are all very fine horses. And so the king is pleased. And the traders go back. So the horses are taken to the king's royal stables. And they are all put in the stables and tied to the things. And mANikka vācakar is also released, because the horses have come, so he no longer needs to be punished. And in this case, that night, suddenly there's a lot of howling of foxes that are heard all over Madurai. People are very worried, because hearing of howling foxes in the village or a town or a city is considered a bad omen. And next day morning, they all come out and see, and they find that the horses that were delivered the previous day, had all turned into foxes and other such wild animals. And they had bitten and eaten the other horses that were there already, and all these foxes ran into the forest. So king thinks that mANikka vācakar has done some kind of a magic, saying that, acting as if he is delivering horses, but the horses have not horses, they are foxes. So king gets very upset and this imprisons mANikka vācakar again, and decides to punish him further. And when this is happening, suddenly there is floods in the Vaigai river. In those days, flooding was not uncommon, because every year when the rainy season there will be floods, but there was unseasonal floods. That's one thing. And also the floods were so high that nobody has seen such a big flooding in such a short time. So the king tells his Madurai folks, he drafts everybody. Everybody has to come and raise the banks of the Vaigai river so that the city does not get flooded. So he says that at least every family should send one man to raise the banks of the Vaigai river. So everybody sends every family sends their men, and in some cases, if you are, let's say you are weak or you are otherwise you are not able to go, people have to send a laborer. Those who are rich can afford to hire laborers and send them, so that everybody is working. And there was one old lady in Madurai who was a food seller. She had no family, she was alone, and all that. She was a great devotee of Shiva, and she made her living by making food stuff and selling them. And she had nobody to work for her, and not only that, she had no money to pay for hired labor. And also, at the time, laborers were scarce, right? As we know, when there is a major hurricane or something like that, when there is a lot of trees that have fallen down, a lot of roofs have been damaged, it's very difficult to find laborers. There are few workers, but there's a lot more work that has to be done than there are workers. So, this we find even in modern day, when there's a huge hurricane or a snowstorm, there is a lot of trees falling on power lines. People suffer without electricity for 4 days, 5 days, 1 week, because they have to wait for workers to fix them, because there's not enough workers to fix them quickly. Like that, this Vandi, she didn't have anybody to work for her. At that time, Shiva comes as a laborer. He walks on the street saying that, does anybody need a laborer for hire? Does anybody need a laborer for hire? So he comes shouting on the street, and Vandi is very happy. She calls him, and she says, I would like to hire you, but I don't have any gold to pay you. He says, the laborer says, old lady, don't worry. I will work for food. I'm hungry. You pay me in food. I will take your food as the wages, and I will work for you. So she happily gives him the food stuff that she sells, that she gives him that food. He takes a basket full of food and takes another basket. He goes to the river bank and puts out the food, etc., under the tree. And then he's started working. Thousands of people are working along the river bank, raising the bund. This guy is having fun. He takes a little bit of dirt, throws it near the bank, comes back, then eats the food, then sings, dances, then he does a little bit more work, and then he feels as if he is very tired. He goes there, puts the basket down, lies down and has a nap. So he's not only not working, he's also preventing others from doing good work, because other workers are looking at him and they are wasting their time too. And the king comes by inspecting how the work is going on, and he finds this guy dozing off under the tree. So he calls him. That guy comes and bows to the king, and the king says, you are wasting your time and you are not doing proper work. And he has the cane. King has the cane in his hand, and he beats this laborer on the back. He gives him a whack with his cane. And at that instant, not only that beating was felt by everybody there, including the king. The king felt his own beating on his own back. And he was shocked. And at that instant, the laborer dumps a basket full of dirt on the river bank and vanishes. And then the king is surprised. What is this? Who is this person? So he inquires, and he learns that he was the hired laborer for Vandi, an old lady. And he sends men to bring her. And the men go, and the ministers go to meet the old woman, but at the time they see that, the Siva Ganas are taking her to heaven. So they come back and tell the king this vision, what they saw. The king realizes that, this is the greatness of Shiva. And at the time, he hears Shiva's voice, etc. And then the flooding subsides in the Vaigai river. The king realizes his folly. He releases mANikka vācakar and tells him that, please forgive me that I have, due to my ignorance, I have punished you. I didn't realize your greatness, etc., etc. The mANikka vācakar says, don't worry. And at that time, mANikka vācakar no longer is the minister. So king gives him, he leaves the Madurai, goes back to Thirumurai to meet Shiva, the guru. There, obviously the guru and other disciples are there. He takes him and then he gives him the name, mANikka vācakar. Because mANikka vācakar was singing praises of Shiva. And those songs are very beautiful verses. So that's why the name mANikka vācakam and mANikka vācakar. And then one day, the Shiva, who was the guru, goes back to Kailasam with his other disciples, leaving mANikka vācakar behind. mANikka vācakar, he tells mANikka vācakar that you be here for some more time and come and see me in Chidambaram. So mANikka vācakar is very, very, what you can call, emotional, because all the other devotees went to Kailasam with Shiva, whereas he missed the chance to go to Kailasam with them. And so he sings in great devotion and emotional state, saying that, longing for Shiva and pouring out his devotion in songs. So he goes to different places, sings songs. He goes to Uttarakosamangai, he goes to Thiruvannamalai, he goes to Tirukazhunkundram, he goes to Chidambaram. And he comes to Chidambaram and spends quite a while in Chidambaram. He spends a few years in Chidambaram. And one day, an old man comes to him, says, oh mANikka vācakar, I want to get a copy of your songs. So can you sing them so that I can write them down? So mANikka vācakar repeats all the songs that he had sung so far. And the old man keeps writing them in a palm leaf manuscript. And at the end, he thanks him and he goes away. So next day morning, when the Chidambaram Dikshitas opened the Chidambaram temple, they find a palm leaf bundle in the Nataraja Sannidhi. And on the top leaf, there's a statement saying that this is written by the Lord of Chidambaram as dictated by mANikka vācakar. And then they open the booklet, the manuscripts, and they find wonderful verses. But the Dikshitas are not fully clear about all the meaning of all those verses. So they go to mANikka vācakar and tell them that this is what happened. They found this manuscript in the Nataraja Sannidhi. and they wanted him to explain them. Then mANikka vācakar realizes that it was Nataraja who came as an old man and wrote down all the songs. So he tells the Dikshitars, I will show you the meaning. He comes with them to the temple. He stands in front of the Nataraja Sannidhi and shows Nataraja and says, he is the meaning of all these songs. And at that instant, he merges with Nataraja. His body is no more to be seen. He merges with Nataraja. That is the life outline of mANikka vācakar. So the songs that he has composed or that he has sung, there are two parts. One is called Thiruvācakam, another is called Thirukkovayar. Thiruvācakam is the most popular part of this work. A lot of devotees sing these songs, and in fact many ardent devotees, they do what is known as a mutrodal. That means that they take the entire Thiruvācakam and then they spend the whole day, morning till evening, singing all the songs of Thiruvācakam. So it will take about 7-8 hours at least. They sing all the songs of Thiruvācakam as a parayana. So Thiruvācakam is very, very popular and very deeply emotional songs. mANikka vācakar is thinking about himself, saying that he had the chance to be with Shiva, but he lost it at the time. So Shiva was his guru, but he left him and went away. So he is feeling that misery, the longingness of a devotee for Lord. And all his songs, he describes his deep devotion and his feeling of being separated from Shiva. So this is Thiruvācakam has about 51 sections. There are long songs, there are short songs, there are songs which are sections which are having 10 songs, there are sections which have 20 songs, there are sections which have 50 songs, there are sections which have 100 songs. So it's a collection of variety of songs. And Thiruvambavai that we are going to see is 7th section in this 51 sections of this Thiruvācakam. So the first section is called Shiva Puranam. That is about 95 lines long. It's highly philosophical and has a lot of, it's a stotram. It has a lot of gems of philosophy embedded in them. So it is describing Shiva's greatness and his qualities. That is Shiva Puranam. And then he sings variety of songs describing the games that the girls used to play. In those days, the village girls will be playing variety of games, right? So 7-year-olds will be playing some kind of game, 10-year-old girls will be playing some kind of game. So he has composed padhigams set in the context of those games, but describing Shiva's greatness. And the section that we are going to see, Thiruvambavai, is set in the context of girls who are, let's say, 10 or 12 years old in that age group. And they are doing this prayer, praying for rain and also praying for good husband. So that is the context. So this is usually done in the Dhanur Masam or the Margazhi Masam in Tamil, which is mid-December to mid-January. And there is a tradition of a Pavai song, which means that the girls go to the pond or a river and take a bath and worship Ambal, Parvati. And that is a tradition that is there even in Srimad Bhagavatam. There is an episode where the gopis go and do what is known as Katyayani Vratam. In the gopis, they do Katyayani Vratam seeking Krishna as their husband. At a later time, mANikka vācakar has sung Thiruvambavai. Similar context, in the context of girls doing Pavai Nonbu, but praising Shiva and seeking rain as well as Shiva's devotees as their husbands. And similarly, Andal has sung Thirupavai, which is addressed to Vishnu, again set in the same context of Pavai Nonbu, with girls going to the pond or a river, taking bath and worshipping, seeking rain and seeking Vishnu as or Krishna as their husband. So that is the background of Pavai Nonbu in a very briefly. So this song, Thiruvambavai, has 20 songs. It is the 7th section in Thiruvācakam, and each song has 8 lines, and in these songs, Elor Embavai is the refrain. Every song will have end with the word Elor Embavai. So the words El, Or, Em, Pavai means, El means listen or accept it, take it from me, something like that. Or is to think. Em, Pavai, my dear girl, our dear girl. So these are addressed to the girls, saying that, let's go sing the glory of Shiva. That's the way you can interpret the Elor Embavai in some songs. But in other songs, Elor Embavai does not directly have any meaning, but you can say that this is there in the same context, so you just, so that it is the refrain. All the songs have the same refrain, so it is used as the refrain of the songs without any direct meaning in those songs. So that is the big picture background of mANikka vācakar's life history. What is the Thiruvācakam and where is Thiruvambavai in it? The context of Pavai Nonbu, what does that mean? So that is a background. Before we go into the songs, do you have any comments, questions you want to ask? We can do. The Periya Puranam was written by Sekirar. So Periya Puranam is the 12th volume of the 12 volumes of Shaiva literature, and Thiruvācakam is the 8th volume. When Nambiyandar Nambi, when he compiled the Shaiva canon, he compiled Sambandar's Thevaram songs as the first 3 volumes, Thirunavukarasar's songs as next 3 volumes, 4, 5, 6, Sundara's Thevaram as the 7th volume, and mANikka vācakar's Thiruvācakam and Thirukkovayar as the 8th volume. And Sekirar comes a couple of centuries after Nambiyandar Nambi, and he sings Periya Puranam. And later on, the Shaiva world saw the greatness of Periya Puranam and added it as the 12th canon of the Shaiva literature. So Periya Puranam describes the life histories of all the Nayanmars. But a very interesting thing is that Sundarar, in his Thevaram songs, he sings a padhigam called Thiruthondattogai. In that, he lists all the devotee names that came to his mind, that came to his mind with Shiva's grace at that time, and he sang 11 songs. In those 11 songs, he lists names of various devotees, and there are 63 individually named people in that list, and 9 categories of people in that list, who are known as individual devotees and class of devotees. And later on, when Sekirar sang Periya Puranam, he took that Thiruthondattogai as his table of contents. So whatever Sundarar had mentioned in his Tiruthoண்டத்தொகை, whoever he had mentioned, he did research, compiled their life history, and sang this Periya Puranam. So in the Periya Puranam, life stories of all those saints who are mentioned in Tiruthoண்டத்தொகை are described. The interesting thing is that Tiruthoண்டத்தொகை does not list māṇikka vācakar as a devotee in the list of devotees. So, Sekar does not sing about māṇikka vācakar's life history in his work. So, Sekar came much after māṇikka vācakar, and Thiruvāsakam was already there. So, if he had wanted, he could have researched māṇikka vācakar's life history and included it in his Periya Puranam. But he did not do so. He took Sundara's Tiruthoண்டத்தொகை as his table of contents and only restricted himself to that. So since māṇikka vācakar name was not mentioned in Tiruthoண்டத்தொகை, he does not sing about his life history in Periya Puranam. So in fact, one of the reasons why people think that māṇikka vācakar could be after Sundarar is because Sundarar does not mention him, and they say that, if māṇikka vācakar's period was before Sundarar, Sundarar could not have left out such an important devotee in his list. That's one part of the logic as to why people think that māṇikka vācakar was after Sundarar. But that, regardless of that, Sekar does not sing about māṇikka vācakar's life history because it is not in Tiruthoண்டத்தொகை. Did that provide the information that you were seeking? Pandya king. Māṇikka vācakar is from Pandya kingdom, so the Madurai, the king in Madurai, Pandya king, yeah. Yeah, so that's the other reason, right? So there is a king who is mentioned, Arimardana Pandyan, and that the people try to say that Arimardana Pandyan's period is this based on some inscriptions in some temples or other such things. But the challenge is that there can be multiple. There are at least two kings who had the same name at different periods in time. Because these are all titles, right? Arimardana Pandyan, there was one Arimardana Pandyan who was at some point in time. There was another Arimardana Pandyan at a different point in time. So again, that is something that scholars and historians use to figure out which of them could be this Arimardana Pandyan that māṇikka vācakar mentions. And another scholarly book, one scholar had written that there are, out of these two Arimardana Pandyans, the earlier one was the normal king who was primarily interested in conquests and those kind of normal king royal pursuits, whereas the second Arimardana Pandyan was a highly evolved person who was into spirituality, and at some point in time in his life he made his younger brother the ruler so that he could be fully involved in spiritual pursuit. So they say that based on that, the second Arimardana Pandyan is the one that who would have been the king who would have ruled at the time of māṇikka vācakar. So that is another logic that they apply to estimate the timing period of Sambandha, māṇikka vācakar. So the second estimate is that māṇikka vācakar is from the 9th century. So one interesting thing that happens is that Sambandhar, Thirumurai, Sundarar, we have no reference to māṇikka vācakar in any of their Thevaram songs that we have. And similarly, in māṇikka vācakar's Thiruvāsakam songs, we have no reference to Sambandhar or Thirumurai or Sundarar. So this is a very interesting thing, because typically when a saint sings devotional songs, often they mention about other great saints who have lived before them. But māṇikka vācakar's songs does not refer to Sambandhar or Sundarar or Thirumurai. So one group of people think that māṇikka vācakar should be before these three, so that's why he didn't mention them. So regardless of the period of māṇikka vācakar, whether it is 9th century or whether it is the 3rd or 4th century, the contents of Thiruvācakam are so great, and we just need to focus on them. The rest is all informational things for our intellectual curiosity. But for spirituality, period is not that important. Any other comments or questions? Yeah. The old lady, her name is Vandi, and her episode in this māṇikka vācakar life history and direct connection to māṇikka vācakar, it is Shiva of Madurai has played a lot of leelas, known as, in Tamil they are known as Thiruvilayadal. In Sanskritam it is called a leela, right? So the play. So Shiva of Madurai has played a lot of leelas, and they are compiled into one book called Thiruvilayadal Puranam, and that outlines the various leelas of Shiva of Madurai. And this episode of known as Pittukku Man Sumanda Padalam is one of the episodes, one of the leelas of Shiva of Madurai. It is there in that book as well. So the connection, there is no connection, right? Shiva is so māṇikka vācakar is punished by the king twice. That's a very interesting thing that a scholar called Asa Jnana Sambandham writes in his book on māṇikka vācakar. There are 2 times king punishes māṇikka vācakar. First, when the horses don't come, he punishes him. And then horses are delivered, and then they become foxes, and then they run away, and then he punishes him second time. And Shiva comes and plays his leela during the second time when māṇikka vācakar is punished. And he talks about the reason why Shiva got māṇikka vācakar punished first time, but saves him in the second time. Why? And there's a very interesting philosophical argument on that. One is that first is māṇikka vācakar took king's money to buy horses. But then he spent the money on other things, even though they are devotional things, spiritual things, Shiva Kainkaryam, whatever may be the reason. But he took king's money and spent it on something else. So from a worldly perspective, that is a incorrect thing. And so for that, he let him suffer appropriately. That's one reason. Second time, māṇikka vācakar didn't do anything wrong, right? The trader came and delivered the horses. And the deal is that once you have taken possession, it is yours, right? The horses anything can happen to the horses. The stables can burn down. Horses can die. Anything can happen to the horses, but that is after the trade has occurred. So in that sense, he says that māṇikka vācakar was not deserved to be punished second time. So Shiva comes and rescues him. That's an example. But that is his discussion. But more important is that it is a Shiva's leela. Shiva has to show greatness of māṇikka vācakar to the king and to the public. Right? So how will we know a devotee's greatness? In Periya Puranam, we will see this too, right? There are many times a devotee does something amazing, and Shiva knows the devotee's level of devotion. He doesn't need to test him. So in the Saiva Siddhantam, we typically don't say that the Lord comes to test his devotees, because the Lord knows the true nature of a devotee without having to test him, because he is already inside us and he knows what we are. So the so-called tests that others see are primarily things that Shiva does to help the world learn about their greatness. That's what you will find in every 9 Mars story. So in this case, Māṇikka Vācakar's greatness comes to be known by this Leela. When God makes Vaigai flooded, and at the same time he also wants to show the greatness of Vandi. Because Vandi was a great devotee and nobody knew about it, right? And he made known the greatness of her devotion to the world, to the king and to the world, by this play. Does that provide you the answer that you are looking for as to what is the connection between Vandi's story and Māṇikka Vācakar's story? There is no direct connection. It is an episode. Okay. Māṇikka Vācakar was not connected to Vandi in any way. Māṇikka Vācakar was independent, Vandi was independent, but it so happened that that episode occurs in Māṇikka Vācakar's life, and that's how they get connected. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Correct. So the story highlights the greatness of Vandi, and it also shows the greatness of Māṇikka Vācakar, because Shiva comes as a laborer and makes the king realize the greatness of Māṇikka Vācakar. Why did Shiva come, right? As a laborer. You think about that way. Correct. Yeah. So again, after this episode, right, the Asariri, right, at the end of all this, Asariri or Shiva's voice is heard and say, this is the Māṇikka Vācakar's greatness, and this is what we played. I skipped that part, right, the Asariri part. So the bottom line is that the Shiva's play, it's very difficult to say why he played this. He could have done it something else, but it so happened that in this context he played this Leela, and in that sense he also made Vandi got associated with Māṇikka Vācakar's life. And so whenever we talk of Māṇikka Vācakar's life, we talk of Vandi, right? So that is what, you have to look at it as Shiva connecting Vandi to Māṇikka Vācakar's life, so that her greatness remains forever with Māṇikka Vācakar's life. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, good. And anything else? So this is a Māṇikka Vācakar's story. I sent you a link as well, which has Māṇikka Vācakar's life history in English. So when you get time, you can go through that book. I haven't read that English one, but since that will help you, I have sent you the link. Okay. So should we spend another 15 minutes listening to the first song of Thiruvambavai, or do you want to talk further on Māṇikka Vācakar's life and then take up Thiruvambavai next time? What is your preference? Yeah. So Māṇikka Vācakar's life, as I said, it's Māṇikka Vācakar. So the four acharyas, Sambandar, Thirunavukarasar, and Sundarar, and Māṇikka Vācakar. Of them, the Sambandar, Māṇikka, Thirunavukarasar, and Sundarar, they are in one path, and Māṇikka Vācakar is another path. So for the first three, Sambandar, Thirunavukarasar, and Sundarar, if you remember their, I don't know whether I have described their life stories fully in our discussion previously, but they all got Shiva's grace directly. When Sambandar was 3 years old, Shiva and Parvati came, gave him the milk, and he became fully, he had all the spiritual knowledge that one can think of. And Thirunavukarasar, he was hailed in a Saiva family. He became a Jain monk and spent as a Jain monk for several decades. Then he returned to Saivam. He became a Shiva devotee. He goes to the temple, and at the time he was suffering from great stomach pain. So he prays to Shiva, and Shiva's grace is received, and the pain is cured. And Shiva's Ashriri tells him that from now on you will be known as Navukarasa, king of speech. And Sundarar, again, he was Shiva's priest's son, but when he was 3 years old, or 3 or 4 years old, the local king happens to see him playing in the streets, and the king gets attracted to the child very much. So he goes to the parents and says, I want to raise your son as my son, as in my adopted son. So the parents agree, and so he grows up as the king's adopted son in the palace. And when he was 16 years old, when he was about to get married, an old man comes, says that you are my slave, and proves that Sundarar was his slave, and then reveals himself as a Shiva, and that's how Sundarar becomes his devotee. So in these three cases, Shiva directly bestows his grace on them, and they start singing devotional songs. They go from place to place to place, preaching to people and expounding the greatness of devotion and those kind of things. Whereas Māṇikka Vācakar, he sees Shiva as a guru, because Shiva comes as a guru and makes him a disciple and gives him upadesam and teaches him the shastras, teaches him the knowledge. So after having seen Shiva as a guru and being his disciple, he still goes back to king and gets the sufferings, and then comes back, and then so his life is a little different. So the paths are, one is there are subtle difference in their two paths. So Māṇikka Vācakar, in all his songs, he will be describing Shiva and describing that is emotional state of being separated from Shiva. And we will see that in various songs when we see in Thiruvāsagam. And he did go around different places, but he spent many years in Chidambaram. And that's one difference. So all four have been to Chidambaram. All four have sung songs on Chidambaram. But Māṇikka Vācakar is of the Guru Shishya Parampara. So Shiva comes as a guru and gives him upadesam. And in many of his works, you will find that the deep emotional connectivity will be there. So, which is one of the reasons why a lot of devotees want to do Thiruvāsagam recitation. In fact, there is a famous saying in Tamil, Thiruvāsagatthukku urugādār oru vāsagatthukkum urugar, which means that those whose hearts don't melt when they listen to Thiruvāsagam their hearts will never melt for anything. Because Thiruvācakam is the ultimate devotional thing that when you sing, understanding the meaning will literally make you long for Shiva. And that state is very unique to Thiruvācakam. And that's why that saying, Thiruvācakam is such a moving song that those who are not moved by Thiruvācakam, their hearts will not move for anything. So that's the greatness of Thiruvācakam. And the other difference is that Thevaram was all in Tamil, they typically describe it as 3 parts. There is Iyal Tamil, Isai Tamil and Nataka Tamil. Iyal is a typical verses, prose and verses. That is Iyal Tamil. Isai Tamil is Tamil which is associated with music. And Nataka Tamil is Tamil associated with dance. So traditionally Tamil, they talk of Tamil of 3 forms. The normal verse forms and the musical form and the dance form. And Thevaram of Sambandar, Thirunavukarasar and Sundarar, they are called musical Tamil. And mANikka vācakar Thiruvācakam is the what you can call as a verse Tamil, Iyal Tamil. So that is a difference in the Tamil poetry style and how they are sung. So all the Thevaram songs, they have a predefined ragam in which they are sung. Thiruvācakam songs, because they are Iyal Tamil, there is no ragam predefined for them. Conventionally, when the Oduvars sing, when they sing 1 or 2 Thiruvācakam songs, they traditionally sing them in Mohanam ragam. But if you are singing all the, if you are singing Thiruvācakam song for 1 hour or 2 hours, you cannot be singing all the songs in Mohanam ragam all the time. So when they sing Thiruvācakam in a concert or something, then they choose different ragams for different songs. But there is no predefined ragams for Thiruvācakam songs. There is other difference. Any other comments? Mm-hmm. So Thiruvācakam is very, very, very popular, and in fact, as I said, Thiruvācakam is more popular than Thevaram in a sense because of people can't do Mutrodal of Thevaram, but Thiruvācakam they can do. The other thing is that like Ramana Maharshi that you mentioned. So Ramana Maharshi was influenced by Periya Puranam greatly in his young days. And he was influenced by Thiruvācakam. So he will be, there is in his works, he will refer to some of these things, and there are because this is from the Jnana Margam, right? So again, this is something which I didn't mention before, which is that the 4 acharyas, they are the paths they showed us are 4 paths, right? There is something called Sariyai, Kiriyai, Yogam and Jnanam. So Charya is where basically mostly through the physical things. Kriya is physical and mind, and Yogam is mostly mind, and Jnanam is by what you can call with a lot of meditation and a lot of introspection. So the Thirunavukarasar's path was known as Sariyai or Charya, which is that he will, if you see Thirunavukarasar's pictures, he will be always shown with one implement on his right shoulder, which is known as Uravaram in Tamil, which is basically a gardening tool. So wherever Thirunavukarasar went, he will do physically, he will work in the temples. He will remove the bushes and shrubs and make it proper, work in the gardens. So he will do physical service wherever he goes. And Sambandar is Kriyai, where physical and mind both are there. And Sundarar is Yogam. And mANikka vācakar is shown associated with the Jnanam. So that is the four paths that are talked about in the Saiva Siddhantam. And so that is the other difference. So if you look at mANikka Thiruvācakam commentaries, there are many sections where they will be quoting Upanishad statements directly in the commentary. They will see direct parallels between what mANikka vācakar is saying and what the Upanishads are saying. You will see that. And that is one thing. And the other thing is that Thiruvācakam has been translated in multiple languages. There was a British missionary who came to India. His name is G.U. Pope. So he came from Britain with the aim was to convert Indians to Christianity. And he came to South India and he learnt Tamil. He wanted to understand what are the scriptures that these people read so that he could understand them and so that he could create his message suitably so that he can convert the people who are reading the scripture. That kind of approach. Basically like a marketing approach where you need to know the target, what is the customer, what is their, what message we need to communicate to them to make them buy your product. So G. Pope came with that goal. He learned Tamil and he studied Thiruvācakam. And then as he studied Thiruvācakam, in order to understand what it is so that he can frame his Christianity message suitably to convert people, he got so engrossed in the Thiruvācakam and the philosophy and the deep devotion that is there in the universal love that is described in this Thiruvācakam. He set upon himself to translate Thiruvācakam into English. And he spent several years translating Thiruvācakam into English. And in fact, when he went back, he had to undergo what you can call a trial by their Christian church as to why he did this. So the reason why I'm mentioning is that Thiruvācakam is such a powerful set of songs, powerful message in that even missionaries like G.U. Pope who came to convert Indians took up study of that and wanted to convert that translate that into English so that more people can benefit from that. This is just one example of its greatness. Okay. So what I will do is that since we are about more than an hour since we started and given the time, we can meet next week and we can start from the song One of Thiruvambavi. Yeah? Okay. We will conclude here. Tiruchitrambalam.